Hello, welcome, program chairs, presidents, secretaries, whoever is watching this showcase today. Welcome to the Book Club Reviewers Showcase for 2026-2027. My name is Jill Rumbley Beam, and I'm honored to have the privilege of being the moderator today. In the past, Beth Pirtle has been doing this, and she asked me to do it, so I'm happy to step up and take her role today. First of all, a couple of things. We want to, first of all, thank Scott Hickman, who has always done such a great job with putting the showcase together, and he's just been always so gracious to do this. Also, the committee over the book clubs for Dallas-Fort Worth area, which include Lisa Fairchild, myself, Jill Beam, Char Justiss, and Beth Pirtle. So we're just excited to bring this showcase to you today. Each reviewer will have 3 minutes to tell of what they'll be doing for the 2026-27 year. And just another note that we'd like to bring to you, especially if you're a program chair for your club. In the past, I know that a lot of you, after a book reviewer speaks, you have asked that reviewer if they would speak the next year. But I know that some clubs do change offices and a new program chair steps up to the plate. And we've had a little bit of confusion, but nothing we can't overcome. We just want to make sure that whomever the program chair is, that they are aware of who the speaker is that will be coming to their club. So without any further ado, let's get started. And our first reviewer, I'd like to introduce Nancy Ashley.
My new book this year is We the Women, The Hidden Heroes Who Shaped America by Norah O'Donnell. This is Norah O'Donnell, you've seen on TV. She's a news reporter. And this book is telling the untold stories of American women throughout our history who have fought for equality and shaped the history from 1776 to the present day. These women are our unsung heroes who finally get their due in this deeply researched book by Norah O'Donnell. One of the first women she mentions is a lady who published, she was a printer, and she published the Declaration of Independence, and she signed her full female name as a signer of the Declaration of Independence. And then it brings us up to the present day of outstanding American women. I'm also doing my program on Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson. In this book, I emphasize his family of origin. His mother was Canadian, and her family transferred to South Africa, where she married a South African man, quite an entrepreneur and adventurer. But Elon, his mother, sister, and brother have all been successfully migrated to the United States of America, making big contributions to our country now. And then I'm continuing my review on Jackie Kennedy Onassis, who was an editor the last 29 years of her life. She edited 100 books on 5 different categories that give her autobiography. This book has been so popular and so interesting. So we never get tired of Jackie O. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next reviewer is Jill Beam, myself, and you will note that all of the reviewers will be announced in alphabetical order. So to begin with, I am honored to be a part of this showcase with so many wonderful book reviewers. And I'll be offering 2 books this coming 2026-2027 book review club year. The first one is titled Ructogenarians, Late in Life Debuts, Comebacks, and Triumphs by Mo Rocha and Jonathan Greenberg. With passion and wonder, Rocha and Greenberg, they recount the stories of today's and yesterday's strong finishers. And just to offer a taste of some of these comeback people, the book includes Mel Brooks, Colonel Sanders, Carol Channing, and more. And I'm going to add my mother, Rosemary Rumbley, who is 93 and still continues to percolate at the age of 93 and offers 2 presentations at the Tradition monthly. My second offering is, I love this, Stupid Things I Won't Do When I'm Old by Stephen Petro. In this book, Petro candidly addresses the fears, the frustrations, the stereotypes that accompany aging. He offers a blueprint for the new old age, and we know that now 90 is the new 70, 80 is the new 60, and he states in the foreword that getting older is actually a privilege, and he offers how to do it with grace, wisdom, humor, and style, and without hoarding. If your club didn't hear the reviews that I did last year, I'll still be available to give the autobiography of Ethel Merman, written by Ethel Merman, as well as the Untold Stories of Broadway, Volume 1 by Jennifer Ashley Tepper, which tells about behind-the-scenes things that happen on Broadway that we aren't aware of. And then finally, last year I chose to review my mom's book titled What? No Chili? And it's about Texas food festivals and Texas history. And then lastly, I always like to offer a Christmas program, and I've titled my Christmas program this year, Music of the Season, where I'll play my flute and tell the history of the songs that I'll be playing. This program will help attendees definitely get into the Christmas spirit. I know your clubs will enjoy these books, and I thank you in advance for considering my offerings. Next, I'd like to introduce Lindy Bell.
Hello there, my name is Lindy Bell, and this upcoming season will be my 4th season as a reviewer. It has truly been a pleasure meeting so many wonderful readers and sharing books and the love of literature with such welcoming and enthusiastic groups. My contact information will be at the end of the showcase, so let's jump right into the exciting lineup I have for this year's season. I'm especially thrilled to introduce Maria by Michelle Moran. This is a fascinating behind-the-scenes story of Maria von Trapp, who is immortalized in the movie musical The Sound of Music. Have you ever wondered how closely the movie followed Maria's actual life story? I certainly did, and the truth may surprise you. The real story of Maria and the Von Trapp family is quite different from the movie portrayal, yet every bit as compelling, offering insight, resilience, and a remarkable history. I'll also once again be offering my debut novel, Brotherhood by Fire, a review that has been warmly received by many groups. This story follows firefighter Andy Garrett and his school teacher wife Katie, whose lives are shaken when Andy is suddenly diagnosed with cancer after exposure to toxic chemicals while on the job. It's a powerful love story, but with a realistic glimpse inside fire station walls, highlighting the legendary brotherhood of firefighters who care deeply for both their communities and for each other. It's emotional, inspiring, but ultimately uplifting. Continuing that story is Embattled Brother, where Lucas Matthews steps into his dreamed role as fire chief, determined to carry forward the legacy of his mentor, Andy Garrett, from Brotherhood by Fire. But leadership proves far more difficult than Lucas imagined, as he faces arson investigations and internal conflict with an insubordinate officer and challenges that test both his endurance and his confidence. A surprising twist at the end reminds us that sometimes the greatest threats are hiding in plain sight. I'll also be reviewing The Crowded Hour by Clay Risen, the dramatic account of the Rough Riders during the Spanish-American War, a defining moment that launched America onto the world stage. This book is especially timely this year, with the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library opening this July in Medora, North Dakota. In addition, I'm offering my first book, Jane Austen Celebrates Holidays and Occasions Regency Style, that explores how holidays were observed during the Regency era. I'll also be reviewing, along with that, Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen, a warm and uplifting story infused with Southern magical realism. Such wonderful and fun stories to share this season. I look forward to hearing from you and discussing one of these engaging books with your group. Until then, all the best.
Thank you, Lindy. I'd now like to introduce Rebecca Blackwood.
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm Rebecca Blackwood, a former 12th grade English teacher. And I love researching and I love presenting these books and topics to so many of you great clubs out there. This Christmas, my granddaughter wanted all things peanuts all things Charlie Brown. And so we gave that to her for Christmas, bracelets, necklaces, earrings. And she told me, she said, you know that this is the 75th anniversary of Peanuts. And I said, no, I didn't know that. And I started researching it. So my very newest book this year is going to be Charles Schulz, the creator of the Peanuts gang, Charlie Brown, Woodstock, all of the cute characters that we love. That's going to be my newest one. I continue to do older ones. I don't mind going back. I've done this year is called The Gown. The Gown was written by Jennifer Roberson, and it chronicles historical fiction. It chronicles the embroiderers who made, at that time, Princess Elizabeth's wedding gown when she married in 1947. It's a great historical read, and people have loved it. I am continuing also to do A Girl Named Carrie Marcus, who married Al Neiman, and in 1907, they started the historical department store called Neiman Marcus. It's a great story, and I love to tell it. In fact, I did it yesterday. Another thing that I've done this year that's been such great fun is why our kids don't want our stuff. I did a lot of research on it. It's always so funny, and it is a touch point for most everybody in my age category. It's kind of like, what do I do with this? I love this. I have loved this all my life. My daughter doesn't want it. My son does not want it. And I told them about this when they were little. This was my mother's, and they adored my mother. No, they do not want any of that. I continue also to do When the Men Were Gone. It is historical fiction about the first female football coach in the state of Texas in 1944 in Brownwood, Texas, when the men were gone to war. Oh, yes. And I did Dr. Seuss. Oh, my goodness. That's another thing that my granddaughter was telling me about. Very interesting man. We all loved his books. Here we go. Green Eggs and Ham. How many times did we read those to our grandchildren? And I am continuing to do, because so many people have asked it, Dale Chihuly. Okay, I have a friend that studied with Dale Chihuly. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Next, I'd like to introduce a couple, Randy Bonifay and Elly Lindsay, pardon me.
Hi, my name is Elly Lindsay, and
my name is Randy Bonifay.
And we are delighted to be part of the book reviewers this year for the first time. And we both graduated with an MFA from the program at the Dallas Theater Center under Paul Baker. And
we were members of the professional company for years.
And I have worked for years as an actress in the Metroplex and a teacher. I taught for many years at the Arts Magnet High School.
And I ran and owned a scene shop that did sets for movies, commercials, corporate meetings, and car shows.
We have 4 programs. 2 of them are solo, and 2 of them we do together. My first solo program is on Shakespeare's sonnets. There are 154 of them. Some of them are very famous. Some of them are not well known at all. They're all about love and looking at many different aspects of love. In the course of the program, I go through the history of the sonnets. I discuss the form, and I explore the question of unsettled authorship, because there's actually no proof that Shakespeare, whom we think of as Shakespeare, wrote them rather than one of the other people. people, and I'll go through the different theories about that. I share at least 10 of the sonnets. A few of them I explicate in some detail. One of our joint programs is A Trip to Bountiful by Horton Foote. Some of you may remember the 1985 movie with Geraldine Page. It's also revived on Broadway with some regularity. Horton Foote is probably best known for his screenplay for the 1962 movie To Kill a Mockingbird with Gregory Peck. He won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay for that. His language is always beautiful. He's from Horton, Texas. He's a Texas writer, which is a town a little bit southwest of Houston. And most of his plays take place in a fictionalized version of Horton, often in the past. Trip to Bountiful is about Carrie Watts, who is at the beginning of the play living in a cramped apartment in Houston with her son Ludi, her daughter-in-law Jessie May, and desperately, desperately wants to get back to her childhood home of Bountiful. The play's themes include family dynamics, the longing for home and memory, and also aging and your loss of autonomy as that happens. In our production, our little presentation, I play Carrie Watts. Randy plays all the other characters, including Ludi, her son. And I was lucky enough in 2010 to play Carrie Watts in the production of Trip to Bountiful at the Contemporary Theater of Dallas as part of the Horton Foote Citywide Festival.
Our second joint presentation is a Christmas season celebration centered around O. Henry's A Gift of the Magi. It was first published in 1901. The story is about a young married couple who are dealing with the challenges of buying secret presents for each other on a very limited budget. The tale is of young love and loyalty contrasted with sacrifice and disappointment. Ultimately, the story comes out and it celebrates their more deeper love. We will pair that with other stories, holiday stories that celebrate the season, and I'm hoping that it complements the Gift of the Magi. My solo presentation will be my personal stories of my youth growing up in the 1950s in a small town in South Texas. These are stories that I have written and told in various venues over the last 20 years. I first started telling them because I wanted my son to know what it was like to live in a small town versus a big city like Dallas. And now I have even more reason to tell them because I have a 5.5-year-old grandson, and I want him to know the contrast between his world and the world I grew up in. These stories deal with my relationship with my grandparents, with my parents, with my older brother, with friends, with teachers, many other people in our town and various places, plus even some pets. Hope you will take this trip with me to a simpler time and a slower pace than we have today. Maybe even you might come out thinking about your past. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you in the 26-27 season.
Thank you, Randy, and thank you, Elly. Now I'd like to introduce Janice Byrd.
Hi, my name is Janice Byrd, and I've been a reviewer for over 40 years. This year, I have been reviewing the book 50 Children, One Ordinary American Couple's Extraordinary Rescue Mission into the Heart of Nazi Germany by Stephen Pressman. And I am going to continue that book into the 2027 season. But I have also chosen another book, a new book that I will be reviewing called Life After Power. And this book was written by Jared Cohen. I have it here. This book is the story of 7 U.S. presidents and their life after they left the presidency. Now, the book, the 7 presidents that are included, start with Thomas Jefferson, and they go all the way through George W. Bush. And I will be talking about some of them in great detail and just mentioning a few others. Each one sought a new purpose in their life. Each one made a difference somehow. And each one gave us some lessons on what to do if life affords us a second act. John Quincy Adams was a member of the U.S. House of Representatives after he left the presidency. He became the leader of the abolition movement in America. He is the only president who argued a case before the Supreme Court. When Adams was first given a job in government, he was appointed by George Washington to be our ambassador to the Netherlands. And when he died in Congress, he was serving with Abraham Lincoln, who he turned over the abolition cause to, as we know. We have William Taft, who became the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court after he left the presidency. And then there's Grover Cleveland, who before Donald Trump was the only president to serve a non-consecutive term. Of course, there's Jimmy Carter. We all know about him because he served the longest, or he had a life after the presidency that was the longest in American history. And George W. Bush followed the example of the first George. And by that, I don't mean his father, I mean George Washington, taking a complete break from political life. And his second act, has been very, very different from all the others. Life After Power explores the untold stories of the final chapters of these 7 presidents.
So we thank you. Next, we have Kathleen Cunningham.
Kathleen Cunningham, 214-662-1982. It's hard to believe, but there was a time when women did not have the right to vote. And they didn't have pockets in their clothes either. Women actually got the vote before they got the pockets. And they got those pockets because of a woman designer named Claire McCardle. Don't know that name? Not many do. I sure didn't. In the 1930s, she turned fashion industry on its head. When World War II came, she changed New York's 7th Avenue garment district forever. Her monastic dress and popover dress set the stage for Diane von Furstenberg's wrap dress of the 1970s, and really all the dresses we're seeing all around us today. Now, I'll bet you got one with pockets. This time around, I'll be doing Claire McCardle, the designer who set women free, by Elizabeth Dickinson. It's the extraordinary story of the first American woman designer to have her name on the label. Her designs were timeless classics, simple, functional, designed for the modern American woman's lifestyle. Oh, did I mention fun? That's Claire. She was a huge influence on casual sportswear. She almost invented it. Separates, mix and match. Claire McCardle. Claire McCardle's in your closet right now, and I'm looking forward to telling you how she got there. Kathleen Cunningham.
Thank you, Kathleen Cunningham. Now I'd like to introduce Magdalen Dugan.
Hello, I'm Magdalen Dugan, and this year I'm presenting two wonderful stories. The first is the Pulitzer Prize-winning Gilead by Marilynne Robinson in the voice of the main character, John Ames. Hello, I'm John Ames, Reverend Ames, like my father and grandfather before me. Now, my grandfather was an abolitionist. He believed that serving God meant spilling blood. My father, on the other hand, was a pacifist. Oh, they never understood each other. And isn't that the way it is sometimes with parents and children? Now, I have a problem, and maybe you can help me. It's my heart. Well, yes, I'm dying, but that's as it must be. My problem is that I despise somebody. How can I die like that? What am I going to do about it? The second novel is an historical novel, my historical novel. Lift My Eyes, about the Victorian painter Matilda Lotz. Lift my eyes, oh, lift my eyes to the mountains, whence cometh help. That's the song my mother sang as she carried me across the bloody battlefield of Franklin, Tennessee, during one of the worst battles of the Civil War. Now, we're facing the aftermath of yet another war, the Great War that has taken from us so much that we've loved. My name is Matilda Lotz. You may have heard of me. I have painted for some of the great houses of both the United States and Europe, the Hearsts, the Stanfords, even Grand Duke Ferdinand. But now my husband and I are exiled to his ruined family estate here in Tata, Hungary. Oh, the American critics say that I am depressed and I've given up. What can they understand? I am grieving. We all are grieving, but I am not depressed. We are feeding our people in the town square. We are planting again. And on this first day of the new year, 1923, I am lifting my eyes again, hoping to learn to forgive. And I am hoping that you will hear the rest of these wonderful stories in my presentations this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Magdalen. Now I'd like to introduce Lisa Fairchild.
Hi, I'm Lisa Fairchild. You can make a note of my contact information from this sheet of paper, or you can wait until the end of the showcase where Scott has very kindly put every email and phone number for all of the reviewers. As the chair of the Dallas Area Reviewers Group Executive Committee, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch our showcase today. I am still having a wonderful time traveling around the state and sharing stories of Bailey White's from Mama Makes Up Her Mind and Other Dangers of Southern Living. I really enjoy intertwining my personal stories, to which most of us can relate, with the stories of Bailey and her family, and showing you how she was my guidepost to becoming a true Texan and Southerner. As most of you know, I do my reviews with my husband, Kim Titus, in a rather unique duo way of doing things. And our current book, Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt, has just been a joy. It's the story of an unexpected relationship between a giant Pacific octopus and the nighttime janitor who cleans his aquarium. The book is a huge favorite with book clubs all over the world, and Kim and I are delighted to bring Tova and Marcellus to life in our review. It has been a huge honor to be reviewing Lorraine Heath's Girls of Flight City. It is a fascinating historical piece set in North Texas in 1941. We try to use our theatrical talents to tell the story of Jessie Lovelace, a female aviator, and members of the British Royal Air Force who secretly trained in Terrell, Texas, prior to the U.S. entry into World War II. It is a rare story of the contributions of Texas women to the war effort. Please watch later in this showcase for my husband, Kim Titus, who will tell you about the other books which we are reviewing: The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, Gentleman in Moscow, and The Diaries of Adam and Eve.
Thank you, Lisa Fairchild. Next, Ken Freehill.
Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Scott. I'm Ken Freehill. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today and watching this preview and considering us to grant a review for your club. I'll be starting my 19th season as a storyteller this year, and I'm always happy to share these literary works with you all. I'm very excited about my newest review, debuting in September. This review is a New York bestseller. A lady from one of my book clubs actually recommended this to me. She wanted to hear it and how I would present it. I went to the library and found out I was on the waiting list, number 142 on the waiting list. So I knew this book had to be good. It is a book written by Alan Levy entitled Theo of Golden. Theo is a mature man who has found himself in Golden, Georgia. He visits the local coffee shops where 92 pencil drawings hang on the walls, portraits drawn by a local artist and using local residents as subjects. Theo begins to buy them one by one in order to, quote, put them in the hands of the rightful owners, end quote. Which is each gift, which he calls an endowment, stories are shared, friendships are born, and maybe even some lives are changed. We, the readers, are drawn into the emotions of these strangers who quickly become friends. This starts a journey for Theo as he locates and endows a pencil drawing to its subjects, receiving in return the story of one human being's life story. Theo of Golden is a magnificent journey of lives, loves, kindness, and humanity. I actually think this book is food for thought for the soul. I also probably have a repertoire of my other reviews that I keep present and current. These include my first-person reviews of George Burns, Theodore Roosevelt, Edgar Allan Poe, Harry Houdini, and Alfred Hitchcock. And there are my reviews of the making of the film The Wizard of Oz, which I call Off to See the Wizard. A very successful show has been my very funny, interactive comedy murder mystery entitled Murder at the Book Club. My holiday review is a retelling of a Christmas Carol entitled Scratch It, Cratch It, where I play 16 different characters. And a personal review of a book still in progress, A Rose for Sister Orchid, a touching and caring memoir of one Vietnam helicopter medic's tour of duty. 10 different reviews ready for presentation. Again, I thank you for your consideration and joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken Freehill. Now I'd like to introduce Patti Frenette.
Hi, my name is Patti. Well, I'm a new kid on the block here, but I'm excited to give you my presentation today. I have a couple books. My first one that I want to talk about is my book, sorpresa. Yeah, I'm an author. I have written my book, Sorpresa, which means surprise in Spanish. There is a little tagline on it. It is a not so famous story of life and sex at 80. Okay, don't get all freaked out. I used the word sex with permission of my daughters because they said, "Oh, Mom, it'll probably help sell." So it is my memoirs. It's not all about just finding love late in life, but I did find a cowboy in Sex at 80. But I lived a very interesting life. Like I said, I am 80 years old, 82 to be exact now. And I was a mom. And then after I raised my children, I got into the fashion industry. So my book will talk about simple things, exciting things. I traveled the world and I was in the fashion industry. But I decided to write my memoirs for my family, for my children. And when I went on and got it published, so I'm excited about it. It is a story about hope and resilience, light in life, love. I did have marriages and the good and the bad of those, but I have a beautiful family and I've lived a very beautiful, exciting life. And it's all in Sorpresa. I happen to be an extrovert and I do love people. So I think I'm a great speaker. I can speak to 5 people, I can speak to 50, or give me 250. I don't care. I do have another book, though, I will talk about if I'm lucky enough to be a speaker, and that is a book that I many, many years ago found it's written in 1966, and it's Five Smooth Stones. And it is a beautiful love story back in the civil rights movement. Uh, Black successful, very trying to get there, but he became a successful attorney. And in the South, he fell in love with a white woman. And that was back in the civil movement. So that was a problem. I love just to summarize what the book is about. It dramatizes and empathizes the experience of a minority in a way which will reach the majority. It's a powerful, powerful story. So actually, both of my books are about love stories, but they are very, very different. And I think I would be a great speaker. I'm an extrovert. I love people. I can be entertaining. So I hope some of you, book club, the people that are in charge of asking the speakers to come, will consider me. I think I could be entertaining. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Patti. Next, I'd like to introduce Dana Harkey.
Hello, I'm Dana Harkey, and I want to tell you about the book I will be reviewing next year. Specifically, I want to tell you about one of its characters. Mary Catherine Goddard was the postmistress of Baltimore, Maryland in 1776. In addition, she ran her family's printing company. On July 4th, 1776, the fledgling Continental Congress signed a document that the British considered treasonous. It was the Declaration of Independence. Later that month, they decided to commission the printing of that document for wide distribution throughout the colonies. One of the printers that they commissioned was Mary Catherine Goddard's print shop. She printed it along with the signatures of all the signers, and it was the first time that the signers' names had been included in a printing. And then she boldly signed at the very bottom of that what became known as the Goddard Broadside, printed in Baltimore, Maryland by Mary Catherine Goddard. What a heroine she was, bravely and boldly affixing her name to the document that when the men signed, "We all must all hang together or we shall hang separately." Through stories like this, the best-selling author, Denise Kiernan, she wrote The Girls of Atomic City and The Last Castle. Now she's telling us about the brave and heroic women of the Revolutionary War. Heroes, we've always celebrated our founding fathers, the wily but victorious tactics of Washington, the daring exploits of Lafayette, and the grand ideas of Thomas Jefferson. And yet we rarely hear of the women who kept the colonies running and liberty alive. Obstinate Daughters, this book, tells us the story of America's starting by revealing the courageous, resourceful women, those whose actions actually shaped the nation. From battlefields to the printing press, From the plantations to the pulpit, these women fought, spied, published, preached, farmed, organized. From the front lines to the home front, from the colonies to the frontier, these unsung heroines turned the tide of the war. In my review of Obstinate Daughters, readers will meet women who armed themselves and took matters into their own hands to defend their town. As she has done so many times before, Janice Kiernan skillfully weaves these stories together into a single, compelling narrative and carves a place in American history for these impactful females. With journalistic rigor and narrative flair, Kiernan reminds us that every untold story can inspire a new generation. Please call me or text me or send me an email because I'd like to tell your book club more about these women.
Thank you, Dana Harkey. Next, I'd like to introduce Carolee Juergens.
Hello, I'm Carolee Juergens. I'm here today to say goodbye and to say thank you. This is my last year of traveling to your book clubs. I am weary of the travel distance. Living where I do, it is what it is. I'm weary of the traffic, and I realize it has become harder for me to read the street signs. But more importantly, I want to say thank you for allowing me to share interesting, informative books with you, and to thank many of you for giving me leads on books I had not yet discovered. You know, there's so many books, so little time. I will miss the enthusiasm for reading that you often shared with me, and I will miss interacting with the members of your book club. But I am looking forward to this traffic-free season coming up. So, what's my next step? Well, you must know that I will still be reading, and possibly I have discovered a way to continue to share books with you online. Hope to see you there in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolee Juergens. Now let's welcome Char Justiss.
Hi. History and stories. The most important letters in the word history are the last 5 that spell story. I am Char Justiss. I've been a professional book reviewer for more than 20 years, and I always focus on the story behind the history. This year, it is the semi-quincentennial of our nation, and I'll be presenting 1776, award-winning author David McCullough. I also have The Big Rich for Texas history lovers, the rise and fall, the greatest Texas oil fortunes of all time. For a bit of European flair, I've got a biography of Winston Churchill. I also have a book on World War I, 3 Royal Cousins and the Road to World War I, featuring King George V of England, Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany, and Tsar Nicholas II of Russia. Also the Titanic. The Titanic sank in 1912. It remains the deadliest peacetime maritime disaster in the world. And last but not least, pets at the White House. If any of these stories tickle your fancy, you can contact me at charjustice1@gmail.com or 214-336-7770. Thank you.
Thank you, Char Justiss. Next, we have Dave Lieber.
Yep, that's me, and I made it onto America's Funniest Home Videos. Let me show you something. These are the clubs below that invited me to present my national award-winning book, Danny Don Meredith, The First Dallas Cowboy. It's the true story of the quarterback who helped build the Dallas Cowboys and later became one of the most beloved voices in TV sports. Don Meredith was bold, funny, and unforgettable. My talk aspires to be the same. It's funny, and it's filled with behind-the-scenes stories your audiences haven't heard about the origin of the Dallas Cowboys. If your club isn't on this list, it can be. If you've already heard my Danny Don talk, ask for this one. The Quilt That Saved My Life, the true story of a magical quilt that turned a Yankee into a Texan. Yes, I've written a lot of books. Here, look at this. But my favorite one is the Danny Don Meredith. Oh, so while I have you, here's some big news. My play, Eamon the Ultimate Texan, about legendary publisher Eamon G. Carter, is coming to the Winspear Opera House in late June. In real life, Eamon hated Dallas, so this is a thing, you know? Big story, big stage, big laughs. I'll bring the stories and laughs, but no falling off the stage.
Thank you, Dave Lieber. Let's welcome Peggy Lohr.
Hi, my name is Peggy Lohr, and I always say every song has a story, and every story has a song. If they asked me, I could write a book about the way you walk and whisper and look. Together with my husband, Bill Lohr, who's a wonderful piano player, we bring you the songs that go with the stories and the stories that go with the songs. The first show we do is all about my memoir, Howdy Hollywood. It tells the story of my life from growing up in Dallas, Texas, to following my dreams all the way to Hollywood. I'm a gal from Big D, grew up here happily. Howdy Hollywood. Mom and Dad were the best. Yes, I was truly blessed. Howdy Hollywood. It's a really fun show with costumes and songs. You might even want to sing along. The second show we offer is all about Broadway. Come on along and listen to the lullaby of Broadway, the hip hooray and ballyhoo, the lullaby of Broadway. From the 1920s to the present, we bring you a little bit of history from Broadway with funny stories and songs to go with it. From the jazz age to Rodgers and Hammerstein to Sondheim to present day musicals. A little bit of Hamilton, maybe. Not giving up my shot. You'll love that show, and you'll want to sing along with those great songs as well. And the third show we offer is all about Hollywood and the Oscars. I'm a big movie fanatic, and I got to work for some very famous songwriters along the way. So I love to go through the songs that won the Oscar through the years, and also some of the most wonderful songs that lost the Oscar through the years. You won't believe it. It's a great story, and we have costumes and comedy and history and songs that go with this show and all of our shows. In our Hollywood show, you might even have an Audrey Hepburn sighting along the way. Who doesn't love to dress up like Audrey every once in a while? So we hope you'll have one of our shows this year. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you, Peggy Lohr. Now I will introduce Jackie Payne.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jackie Payne, and I have had the privilege and honor of being one of the Dallas book reviewers for about 15 years now. I've had the pleasure of meeting and entertaining wonderful folks all across the Metroplex and beyond, folks I would have never otherwise even met. I've gotten to visit country clubs, clubhouses, beautiful homes, beautiful churches all across the area, and I am so grateful. And I'm also thankful to my fellow reviewers who have always been encouraging and supportive. I'll never forget the special encouragement and prodding, and I do mean prodding, of Rosemary Rumbley, Gail Brink, Susan Boone, and Nella Phillips. Nella is my greatest cheerleader. I have been proud to be a small part of the Dallas Book Reviewers. Because of circumstances beyond my control, I need to step down at the end of 2026. The reason being that my spouse is not well, and I need to stay much closer to home. I will, however, honor all of my commitments that are on my books for 2026 and 2027. I just will not be taking any new bookings. So if you have questions or concerns, please just call me. Many, many thanks to Scott Hickman, who records this showcase, to Beth Pirtle and Lisa Fairchild, and the rest of the committee for herding and keeping up with us book reviewers. It's got to be like herding cats. And to Jill Beam, who is our moderator for today. Again, I thank all of you for your encouragement and support across the years, for letting me tell you the stories behind the songs and then singing along with me. For all of your smiles and all of your laughter, I have enjoyed every minute of my time as a reviewer, and I am eternally grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie Payne. Now I'd like to introduce Nella Phillips.
Hello, I'm Nella Phillips, and this is my contact information, which I hope you'll be excited to use. Nella.phillips33@gmail.com is my email. My telephone number, 972-239-4977, is my landline, and my website is simply nellaphillips.com. Tell me, have you ever been at a loss for words? I mean, just truly at a loss. Well, let's say you're at a party where people don't know each other very well, and all of a sudden, the conversation has come to a complete standstill. You think you should say something, but what? And then you remember the book you're reading at home, which is full of fun facts and interesting stories. That's it, you say. So, as the last topic of conversation had been about a certain president, you say casually, and speaking of presidents, don't you find it interesting, the similarities between Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy? Well, now you find you've got the whole room's attention. You continue. You remember, of course, that Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860. John F. Kennedy elected president in 1960. Abraham Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy. John F. Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln. Both men were assassinated, both men were shot in the head by Southerners, and both men were succeeded by Southerners named Johnson. Well, now the room is abuzz and the party is rescued. Well, the book that did the trek and saved the party is this one, and it's the one I'll be reviewing this next season. It's called The Very First, and it is indeed full of unusual stories that you probably have never heard before and will want to hear. It's written by Bob Magruder, the late Bob Magruder, local Dallas personality, who was just an excellent actor, and he's an excellent writer as well. This book is small, but it's mighty, and once you begin it, you won't want to put it down, and the review will have you asking for more. This is The Very First by Bob Magruder, and perhaps you'd like to be the very first to book it for your club or organization. Again, I'm Nella Phillips, and I so look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Nella Phillips. Next, we have Beth Pirtle.
I'm Beth Weems Pirtle, and I have 3 books this year. My Life with Bing by Catherine Crosby, my precious friend. Dream of Empire, a book written by John Edward Weems. I was intrigued by that name. History of the Republic of Texas. And for a new thing that I'm doing this year, it's a trilogy of books, and it's about Helen Keller. And the first is written by Helen Keller, the story of my life. And I'll include my life as teaching the deaf to introduce you to those worlds. But I love to tell the story of Catherine Grandstaff, a little town south of Houston where we grew up together. I have a few details, intrigued little to add to her story, as I can tell you the secret of how she got Bing Crosby. Catherine's a gifted writer, as was Bing, as you will learn through this. Catherine captured his heart the very first time they met. And I think some of you may have heard that Catherine died last September, 90 years old. And I'm going to miss talking to my friend. The second book is Dream of Empire, History of the Republic of Texas. I was intrigued by the author, Mr. Weems, but I found out he was no kin. That's all right. His intent was to write a history using real people, their backgrounds, their strengths and courage, not just dates and places. Famous people we already know are sprinkled throughout the book. My mission in life is to make sure everyone knows where the first capital of the Republic is, and it's in that book. It was West Columbia, south of Houston. The third book is Helen Keller. I'll be using 3 books written about Helen. This was written by Helen Keller, but I wanted to be sure and tell you this life of the deaf and the blind person, most famous. When I graduated from the University of Texas in Austin with a degree in Spanish, there was no need for Spanish teachers in Austin. However, there was a need and a place for teachers at schools for handicapped children. So I started a 25-year career teaching the deaf in Austin, New York, Ohio, and then back to Texas. I was intrigued with the story of Annie Sullivan, who brought Helen Keller into the world of communication. Annie Sullivan's story is almost as remarkable as Helen Keller's. So let me share that story with you. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you again.
Thank you, Beth Pirtle. Now I'd like to introduce Mary Roberson.
Good afternoon. I'm so glad you could join us today. I have a number of new books that I think you're going to find very interesting. The first one is The Demon of Unrest by Erik Larson. This is Erik's newest book, and like his former books, it is full of detail and very fascinating detail. But one of the things that he does is he refers to diaries and things to get accurate information of this time period. What the event they're looking at is the time from Lincoln's election until the first gunshots at Fort Sumter. And one of the books that he refers to over and over is A Diary from Dixie. And this is by Mary Bodkin Chestnut. And this woman lived and kept this diary during that Civil War period. Her husband was a U.S. Senator when South Carolina succeeded, and then he became a part of Jefferson Davis's entourage and leadership for the Confederacy. This family owned 500 slaves. This woman's point of view is fascinating. She has all the social insights at Washington and then in the South during the war. It is a read I think you'll find very interesting. Changing shifts totally. This one is called The Loves of Theodore Roosevelt by Edward O'Keefe. This is a look at Theodore Roosevelt's mother, his 2 sisters, and his 2 wives. These women were an amazing group of women, very well educated, very supportive of his work and his time in the office of president. I think you're going to fall in love with the loves of Teddy Roosevelt. Now, I have some things from the past that I'm going to bring out. One of those is a Christmas. It's called The Autobiography of Santa Claus, and it was written as dictated to Jeff Gwynne, and it lets you find out all the things you wish you knew about that jolly old elf. this is all one, it's available, The History of Santa Claus. The other one that is available for the Christmas season is one on favorite songs and stories of the holidays. I just realized this last week, this is the 60th anniversary of The Sound of Music. I did that when it was 50-year-old movie. So I'm going to bring that one back out, and it's the Von Trapp Family Singers by Marie Von Trapp. It's a fascinating look at both their life and then the making of the movie. So I think you're going to, many of you, or I should say some of you, I know heard it 10 years ago when I did it, but things have changed and have been added. So I believe you will enjoy The Sound of Music, the story behind that movie. It was a fascinating one, and that family has given us much entertainment. Thank you so much for coming. I have enjoyed meeting so many of your groups over this past year and look forward to a chance to visit with you again. You have a good day now.
Thank you, Mary Roberson. Next, we have Monica Shaw.
Hello, my name is Monica Shaw. This will be my third year as a reviewer, and I'm very happy to be back. One of the books that I will be doing this year is my book. It is called The Rainwater Secret. It is historical fiction based on the true story of my great aunt Lily Murphy, who back in 1950 left the comforts of home to join the Medical Missionaries of Mary in Agosian, Nigeria, to teach the leper children who'd been pushed out of their villages due to their disease. It's a beautiful story of hope, love, and selfless giving, and I am very honored to share it with you again this year. The other book that I'll be doing, I don't have the book, I just have it on my iPad, is called Theo of Golden. Again, I love this book. It was just genius, and it's again about giving and receiving, about seeing and being seen, and how the ripple of life and how we interact with people and that we meet binds us together. I think you'll really enjoy the story. So again, happy to be back. My phone number is 214-926-7329, and my email is therainwatersecret@yahoo.com. Thank you very much. I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Monica Shaw. Now I'd like to introduce Nancy Smith.
Hello, I'm Nancy Smith. I used to work at the Dallas Morning News and Dallas Times-Herald writing a column, and I know a lot of you, and this is my contact information. Please call me at nancysmithdallas@gmail.com. I have several subjects that I would love to share with your groups coming up. One of them, we're all very sad about Neiman Marcus possibly closing downtown. I covered the last dozen Neiman Marcus fortnights. So I have a whole PowerPoint presentation about the golden days of Neiman Marcus and all the great stars and royal figures that came in. I got to meet Princess Margaret and Olivia Newton-John. A lot of other wonderful people came. So I hope that you will want to hear about Neiman Marcus. The next one is I wrote the book called Original Scarlett O'Hara. It's about her similarity to an empress of France that Margaret Mitchell, the author, almost certainly checked out before she wrote Gone with the Wind. So that's my second offering. The third one is the dramatic story of the composer Burt Bacharach and his actress wife Angie Dickinson, based on their memoirs. And then the fourth one, I call it Up Close and Personal with Hollywood Stars. I was lucky enough to interview many people and visit with them, including Audrey Hepburn, Cary Grant, Lana Turner, Rita Hayworth, Myrna Loy, Omar Sharif, Van Johnson, Elizabeth Taylor, Zsa Zsa Gabor, James Stewart, Frank Sinatra, George Burns, Burt Lancaster, Tony Curtis, and many others. So I have a whole presentation with pictures of the Hollywood stars. And then not everything went smoothly when I was a columnist. I covered a lot of events that really were up and down. One almost resembled the towering inferno, where we had to catch the elevator going down 48 floors. So I call it Funny Times and Near Disasters along the local society trail. And then I always talk about Dallas International with J.R. Ewing. This is the very heavy, large book that I wrote about the years of the TV show being here in Dallas, and Larry Hagman and the cast coming. And I really hope that you will contact me. It will be a pleasure to see you, all my good friends.
Thank you, Nancy Smith. Let's welcome Holly Stevens.
Hello, Holly Stevens here. Take a few seconds to admire the hat. All right. The two talks that I have coming for the 2026-2027 season. The first book is called The Kidnap Years by David Stout. This is a book that I think has about 15 different kidnappings, all from the Great Depression. There was a rash of kidnappings during the Great Depression. So I'm kind of sticking with the money, murder, sex, and beer thing, but I'm adding kidnapping because two of the people that got kidnapped were related to the Anheuser-Busch family. So I am going to highlight those two kidnappings and a third kidnapping, which were all interrelated. But please know that this book covers a lot more of what was going on during the Great Depression, when people were so desperate that they were kidnapping the children of the mega wealthy. And my other book is called The Crash at Crush. I have talked about this in little 15-minute bits in the past, but I have recently found an entire book on it so that I can get more information on the background of the person who organized this. Now, the writer is Michael Cox, but we're going to be talking about George William Crush, who worked for the MKT, the Missouri, Kansas, and Texas Rail Line, known as the Katy around here. He was tasked with selling more tickets. And he then decided to crash two trains together because people were so fascinated with watching trains crash. So we're going to talk about the not so hot outcome of crashing two trains together with thousands of people standing next to the railroad tracks. And I'm going to talk about what Dallas was like in the 1890s, because he is living in Dallas and he is organizing that crash from Dallas. So my two books are called The Kidnap Years and The Crash at Crush. Those are my two topics coming up. And I wish you all a lovely book review season.
Thank you, Holly Stevens. Next is Kim Titus.
Hi, I'm Kim Titus. I present with my wife, Lisa Fairchild, who also has a spot in this showcase. With our unique two-person reviews, we bring the characters to life. Now, the first up is Mark Twain's Diaries of Adam and Eve. Don't let the biblical reference scare you off. It's really about the relationship between men and women, as told through the eyes of the two who discovered it. The world's first couple learns about life, love, and living together in our adaptation of two of Twain's most famous works. Next up is A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. It was one of Lisa's favorite reads, and it quickly became one of my favorite stories. In 1922, Count Alexander Rostov, an educated, witty aristocrat, was confined to house arrest in Moscow's Metropole Hotel. His world is reduced to an attic room during some of the most tumultuous decades in Russian history. And during his incarceration, he meets an adventurous girl, an actress, and a shrewd politico. Then, fate puts the life of a precocious young girl in his hands. It cast a spell on Lisa when she read it, and it will own you too when you hear it. And the last book I have is The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Mary Ann Schaefer and Annie Barrows. It tells the World War II tale of a unique book club formed in a spur of the moment as an alibi to protect its members from the German invaders. It's told through a series of letters. The story reveals the remarkable correspondence between an author and the residents of this strategically important but unassuming island in the English Channel. Once the writer sets foot on Guernsey, her discoveries will change her forever. Now, Lisa is previewing Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt, Girls of Flight City by Lorraine Heath, and then one that she does by herself, When Mama Makes Up Her Mind, and Other Dangers of Southern Living by Bailey White. So be sure to check those out, and she's up there under the Fs. Now, our flyer, updated for the 26-27 season, which describes all of our programs, will be up on each of our websites shortly.
Thank you, Kim. And last but certainly not least, I'd now like to introduce Marty Van Kleeck.
Hi, I'm Marty Van Kleeck, and I have 4 offerings this year. My latest is Ann Richards with her biography, Straight from the Heart, My Life in Politics and Other Places. And the ones I have done in the past, Lady Bird Johnson, Katharine Hepburn, and Molly Ivins. I'm going to let these ladies speak for themselves. This is Ann Richards, and I want to come and talk to your group this year about my book, Straight from the Heart, My Life in Politics and Other Places. You may remember me as the governor of the great state of Texas, or maybe at the Democratic Convention, where I said, oh, poor George, he was born with a silver foot in his mouth. Or when I said women can do everything men can do. After all, Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire could do, only she did it backwards and in high heels. Hi, I'm Lady Bird Johnson, and I want to come and talk with you about my book, A White House Diary. This chronicles the 5 years and 2 months that Lyndon was in the White House. They cover my memories, happy, sad, starting with President Kennedy's assassination and through the weddings at the White House, and my most vivid and private memories. Hi, I'm Molly Ivins. I'm a journalist and I covered the Texas legislature. And I've got 2 books I want to talk to you about. You Gotta Dance with Them What Brung Ya. Now, some things never change, do they? And Molly Ivins can't say that, can she? You see, what I'm known for is covering Texas politics, but with lots of humor. You see, my stories always start with a little humor, a little hook, but they've always got a point. I hope I'm going to see y'all real soon. I want to come and speak with you about my autobiography, me, the stories of my life. Well, there are bits and pieces and fragments here and there about my upbringing with my incredible parents, my paradise at Fenwick, my career in the movies, and how I created the creature, Katharine Hepburn. Oh yes, and of course, Spence. I know you want to hear about Spencer Tracy.
Thank you, Marty Van Kleeck. Well, I certainly hope anyone who has had the opportunity to view this reviewer's showcase has enjoyed it. And I know that we will look forward to your calls for each one of these reviewers to come and speak to your groups. And we are very excited to be a part of this reviewers showcase. Once again, thank you, Scott Hickman, for putting this together. And you will see at the end of the video everyone's name, their email, possibly their website, and their phone number. Once again, thank you so much. And if you have any questions, you can contact either Lisa Fairchild, myself, Beth Pirtle, or Char Justiss. Thank you.